You're listening to the Black and Gold Hockey Podcast with Mark Allred, Court Lalonde, and Rob Tomlin. You can subscribe and rate our show on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Player.fm, SoundCloud.com, and Stitcher Radio. You can support the show financially by going to blackandgoldhockey.com and clicking on the fanatics.com banner before shopping online. You can also purchase exclusive Black and Gold Hockey Podcast merchandise in the official B&G shop. And now, time to start the Bruins Hockey Talk from 3 different countries. Enjoy the show.
Hello, Bruins fans, and welcome back for episode 89 of the Black and Gold Hockey Podcast. We do not have a partnership anymore. We lost it with Grandstand Sports Network. Sad to see them go, and hope the best for those guys that were running it. But we have Court with us. Hello, Court.
Hey, how you doing, Mark?
Good, excellent. We have a very special guest coming up soon. Her name is Rhonda McClure, she writes for thepinkpuck.com. Wicked pumped to have her aboard. She's a very nice person and somebody that we've met personally, and glad to have her back because of my my mishap on the 11th. So let's just get right.
That's alcohol.
Yes, it was very self-induced. Let's just get started with the last game's recaps. On Sunday, March 25th at the XL Energy Center, the Boston Bruins beat the Minnesota Wild 2-1 in overtime. Boston goals, second period goal by David Pastrnak, his 30th from Berge and Marchand. And the overtime winner from Brad Marchand, his 33rd of the year from Krug and Bergeron. Rastop 24 of 25 for the win. 3 stars of the game was, number 1 was Rask, number 2 Stalock, and number 3 was Koivu. On Tuesday, March 27th, at the Bell MTS Place in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Winnipeg comes out with a 5-4 shootout win over the Bruins. Boston goals, first period, Ryan Donato scores his 3rd unassisted. The 3rd period, Danton Heinen scores his 14th unassisted. And 3rd period, David Pastrnak scores his 31st from Krug and Marchand. And another 3rd period goal from Torrey Krug, his 14th from Marchand. So that game was a good game, but it just tells you how deep in depth this team is and the will to win, and the fight back. So Anton Khudobin stopped 28 of 32 shots for the loss. Marchand earned the 3rd star with 2 assists. On Thursday, March 29th at TD Garden, Boston beat the Tampa Bay Lightning in a statement game, 4-2. Boston goals, first period from Tim Schaller, his 12th, assisted by Wingles. And another first period goal from David Pastrnak, his 32nd, from Krug and Berge. And the 3rd period, Patrice Bergeron gets on the board as he returns to the, after I think it was 13-game absence. Scores his 28th from Krug and Marchand, and the 3rd period, Brad Marchand scores his 34th from Bergeron and Pastrnak. Tuukka Rastop 26 of 28 for the W, and lots of 3 stars in this game. Rask, Bergeron, and Pastrnak 1 through 3. And on Saturday, March 31st, which is technically last night, the Boston Bruins beat the Florida Panthers 5-1. 2 first period goals, one from Nick Holden, his 4th of the season, but first as a Bruin, from Krejci and DeBrusk. And first period, Jake DeBrusk Scores his 15th from Donato and Krejci as he returns from injury, which is good to see, and he was a real impact player in this game. Jump into the second period. Ryan Donato scores his 4th from Krejci, and another second period goal. This one from Patrice Bergeron, his 29th from Backus and Pasternak. And to finish the night scoring for the Bruins, Jake DeBrusk gets his 2nd of the game and 16th of the season from Miller and Grzelcyk. Tuukka Rask stops 30 of 31 for the W. And more Bruins to the 3 sides of the game. Jake DeBrusk gets the 1st, Krejci gets the 2nd, and Rask gets the 3rd. And that's it.
You notice the trend in those games?
Yep.
Who's playing phenomenal right now? It's Tuukka Rask.
Yeah. And you have some stats on him that you...
courtesy of our friend of the show, Mr. Brandon Sherko, and he put it out on Twitter there. And that's where I got those stats from. So Rask, right now... Where did I post it? Sorry. It was from Bruins Stats, the first one. So Rask started the year at 3-8-2, and since then he's 31-3-3.
Those are sick numbers, man. That's somebody that definitely turned it around after seeing his starting job basically going to a backup goaltender in Anton Khudobin and took that in pride and worked hard to get back.
Yeah, he's people were saying, oh, he's just playing good now, and then I couldn't believe when I saw it. I'm like, he's been playing phenomenal.
Yes.
He's just been playing so good lately.
Absolutely agree.
It's a good time to have it. So here's the stat from Mr. Brandon Sherko. And Tuukka Rask allowed 6 goals in his last 4 games. He's got 120 saves on 126 shots with a 1.5 goals against average and a 9.52 save percentage in that stretch.
Yeah, that's nasty. But
but he's I don't want to beat a dead horse about all these people, but you still have people online saying, well, he's finally living up to his contract, or that he still hasn't won big games, and so on and so forth. And in the last little bit, the goalie that's been struggling is Khudobin.
Yeah.
He makes some brilliant saves. He's played the one game where they where we lost, was it Winnipeg where he was playing?
Yep.
Yeah,
shootout loss.
He played decent that game, but his style sometimes can get the best of him.
Yeah, absolutely. And the overtime goal he gave up in against Winnipeg was a little further out than I would have liked him to give that up. It was just, he was off balance. The game's fast. I get that, but there's goaltenders that are really good at shots like that, and there's goaltenders like him that play that unorthodox style that just don't seem to be prepared for shots like that. So
no, it seems to be totally honest with you. For what I'm seeing, it just seems to be shots outside.
Yeah.
Anything above that, behind the hash marks. If anybody gets above where the hash marks are in the crease, Dobie's stopping him.
Right.
He's stone cold. He's making those crazy saves jumping across. He's keeping the team in games. The Winnipeg game. Winnipeg is probably one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's like we can't have both. Well, we did have both of them going, I guess, in December and January, but it is what it is. If Dobie's starting to play not so good right now, it's not that big of a deal. He's not going to be playing in the playoffs unless God forbid, we'll talk about it, but injuries, unless Tuukka Rask gets hurt, because everybody else seems to get hurt. So
yeah, right.
That's the other crazy set. Did you see that one? That was posted during the game, one of the games, that the Bruins have played one game this year, one game without an injury.
Yeah, I saw that. You shared that with me on the.
That's just NBC posted it. That's just the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, that is nuts, and kudos to them for getting that stat out, because I definitely wouldn't have thought of bringing that out.
They have 12 games where they played where they were missing 6 guys, 10 games where they were missing 4, 3 games where they're missing 27, and you know who we're missing? We're missing the McAvoys, the Bergerons, for every Bruins. Wow, this team, this team. Honestly, I don't know. It's just so amazing and so awesome.
Jumping back on Hudobin real quick, I mean, just looking at his stats and the way he's played, we haven't seen a backup goaltender that has done this since the days of Chad Johnson. And his, I think it was a 17-9 and something record, or 19-9. Could be wrong. Don't kill me on the stats. I don't have them in front of me right now. But that was kind of a few years ago, and you go through the years of the Svedbergs, and you went through the Hudobin, the first tour of duty, and you went through, I don't remember who else, but it just seemed like they couldn't gel with somebody until Hudobin came. Not last year, but this year he seems to be all in, whether it's a contract year or not, and that's why he's playing so well. Remains to be seen. So,
I don't think it's a contract. I think they complement each other very well.
Yeah, they're best friends. They've even said it that having him back in the locker room was really good, not only for Rask and as a close person, but a teammate that you can rely on. And unfortunately, he didn't have that season last year until Bruce Cassidy came on, and then he's turned it up. So, and then this year he started off really well when Rask was really terrible. I'm not going to lie, and I'm not going to, play the Rask favorite all the time. He was not good.
He was brutal.
Yeah, I mean, we can be the biggest apologist we can, but when we see games like that, we call him out. So.
I want Toby back.
I mean, relative terms and price, absolutely, because the cap's going up. You just signed Chara, so we'll talk about that later. But you got to find room, and you got to find that happy medium where both sides are going to be happy, because he's going to want to get paid. He's a goaltender in his 30s. He's going to want some kind of insurance, whether it be term or money. I'm thinking he's going to want term. He might stay a little higher than his 1.2 right now, but he also could say, I'd like to get at least a two-year deal.
Fair enough. And he has the right to ask for that from the way he's played.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No doubt about it.
Because he is one of the best backups in the league right now.
If not the best.
If not the best. Yeah. Exactly. Like, I hate calling someone the best in the league and such. So I'm just like, I'm thinking, he's one of the best backups in the league right now. And everything this team has done, like the resiliency of this team, and he put the team on his back when Tuukka was playing like garbage at the beginning, like you were saying.
Absolutely. And just to let's. This is the last show pretty much until we get back together at the end of the season. And it's absolutely crazy to say that because this year has gone by so fast. They play the Philadelphia Flyers today. And that's Sunday, April Fool's Day. They play, and that's in Philadelphia. They play Tuesday night.
Dobie with the start.
Yep. They play Tuesday night at Tampa Bay at 7:30. They play at Florida, the Panthers, at 7:30 on Thursday night. Then they come home for 2 to end the season on Saturday. They play the Ottawa Senators at 7, and then Sunday they play the Florida Panthers at 7:30. So
yeah, they've only got the 2 games during the week, which is, to be honest, amazing. This week has been this month. Sorry, it's been tough for them.
Yeah, I mean
they've been winning, but oof.
Yeah. And this particular month, opposed to the start of October, they've taken more losses in October and this month than any other month during the season. So, but that's when you play every other night. You play 16 games in 31 days. It's not going to be an easy task, even though you do have that 1 day of rest in between. Sometimes it's just not enough, but I do like the way that Bruce Cassidy is seemingly splitting these games between Rask and Hudobin. Like you said earlier, just a minute ago, that Hudobin's getting the start this afternoon against Philly. I think that Rask will probably be in that game against Tampa Bay. You're most likely going to see Hudobin on Thursday, and then they'll split the.
Well, Cassidy's already said he made a mention of who he's going to be starting.
Did he?
I was in shock. Yeah, it's Tuukka Rask.
He's going to ride him.
He's going to ride him. He pretty much said that it's up to Tuukka if he doesn't want to play.
Wow.
So if Tuukka's tired, which I agree with you, I would think that Tuukka doesn't play Thursday. He would play Thursday. He's going to play against Tampa for 100%. So yeah, think about it. Was he going to miss the Florida game because Dobie just had the last start? So he's going to play Tuesday. You're going to play him against Tampa.
Right.
You're not going to, and then maybe Saturday should be a Dobie game because it's against Ottawa.
Right.
Like, who cares? And give Rask the rest because he's just going to have to have played. It's not that he needs the rest, because I really want to preface and say I don't think he needs the rest.
Right. But I don't know. I mean, the playoffs are coming. You got to be prepared as much as you can, and rest is definitely needed. But if a player like Rask can say to a coach like Cassidy, "Hey, I want in. I want as much work as I can before the playoffs." That just tells me that he is absolutely ready for this, and so is his team behind him, or in front of him. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, geez, they win when they're missing some of their best players.
I know, it's just absolutely crazy. I've not seen a team like this be so resilient in all the games lost to injuries. I'm just baffled that they continue to impress and they continue to get it done. So. And just saying that and having that positive feeling about missed games and lost games or whatever makes you really pumped up for this playoff run. Yeah,
they've got Corrali day to day, McAvoy day to day with knee, but Cassie's already pretty much said that I guess McAvoy's probably going to play on Tuesday, maybe Thursday, but he's probably playing next week.
Yep.
And then you got Riley Nash who took the puck to the head with a million stitches.
Yeah, that was awful.
So I don't know if he's under, like it says day to day. I don't know if it's just the stitches. I think they would have. I think we would have known by now if he was under concussion protocol. I would think. And then you have Rick Nash out, but now I guess they pretty much said today that he's going to play before the end of the year, so he's back. So I guess what are you going to do at the second line? You got Bjork who's not coming back, and I love people to death with their thinking Carlo's going to be back, but okay, they make it to the third round, and Carlo's ready to play, and the team's winning. Do you even put him back in the lineup?
I don't know. That's a tough one. I'd say
and
pack it up.
Play a bit, right?
Yeah, I'd say pack it up to the beginning of next season.
It's a tough one. I feel for the kid. It was gross to watch.
It was terrible. I looked at my wife. We were watching it downstairs with the busted dog, and I just looked at her and I was like, oh my God, that's terrible to watch. But, and the good thing about that, I mean, there's never anything good about an injury, but it's that next man up mentality. Charlie McAvoy is on his way back. He's definitely a person that could fit into that Carlo role.
Well,
Nick Holden, you got Chara's back.
McQuaid plays well. He played fantastic against Ottawa, so if he can play the same way he did in the playoffs, I'm good.
Absolutely. All right, let's take a quick break, and then we'll welcome in Rhonda McClure from the pinkpuck.com, friend of the show. So we will be right back.
Passion, talent, development. NCAA hockey offers all that, and its players graduate at a 90% rate. Dylan Larkin.
Backhand scores! Wow, what a goal!
Kevin Shattenkirk. And James Van Riemsdyk were stars on campus before the NHL stage. Whether you are a fan or a player, nothing compares to college hockey. Visit collegehockeyinc.com and follow @collegehockey.
Champions of the college hockey world!
Hey guys, welcome back, and we're very happy to be blessed with a return appearance of a friend of the show, Rhonda McClure. She's the owner and editor-in-chief at the pinkpuck.com website. She's also, and I just found this out today, the author of the book Simply Hockey that can be purchased on Amazon, and she can also be found on Twitter at HockeyMaven1917. Rhonda, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure, as always.
So, let's just talk about the Olympics. Let's get this right off the books, because I've seen a lot of stuff on social media that you provided, because you were there. You were in South Korea, correct?
Yes, I was.
Yeah, and what an experience you had. Can you please just touch on the culture, the experience all in general?
In general, it was just an absolutely amazing experience. It was a tad overwhelming, not going to lie. It's the first country I've ever been in where I had no idea anything about the language, so that was a little hard to take. But everybody there was just so helpful and friendly. They really had it set up very nicely.
How about Ryan Donato?
Oh, the kid is amazing. Just seeing what he did in the games, the 5 goals. He was put on a great line for starters. I mean, Tony Granato knew what he was getting with him, and was smart enough to put him on a great line to where if they could get a puck to him, they did, and it usually went into the back of the net. But the kid cares so much. He was absolutely devastated when they lost in the quarterfinals.
Court, you got something?
I didn't watch a lot of the Olympics, but I was talking to Rhonda while she was there a bunch of times through Facebook and stuff. And my biggest question to her while she was there was, how's the food? So, because I don't know. I didn't think the hockey was that good. It is what it is, right? It was bad hockey. I'm sorry. This is my opinion of it. It was some bad hockey. It was, when you look at it, you didn't even have, when we were talking around, remember that list about how many, you didn't even have the top, it wasn't even in the top 500 of the world. Ryan Donato, now when you look at how he's played with the team in the NHL, he's in that top 500, but some bad players playing.
Well, I think they could have gone with some more of the college kids for sure.
Mm-hmm. Both on Canada and the U.S., yeah.
The original theory was 4 to 7, and they took 4. I think they should have gone with more. Those kids are they're so hungry. And I think they didn't because they were like, oh, they haven't had the pro experience, but I think they could have brought a stronger game.
Yeah. And maybe more exciting.
Yeah.
Just some of the, I don't know. I paid more attention to Canada's roster, obviously. I understand a lot of everybody else is in the U.S., but I looked at Canada's roster and I'm like, geez, we got guys in the juniors that are better than some of these guys out on the ice. I know we're going for experience, but felt like they were mailing it in a little bit.
I don't know. Well, now, see, I think that sometimes the NHLers mail it in.
Yeah. Oh, well, Nagano.
And so, I don't know. I kind of feel like I'm torn because I really like, I'm young enough, I'm old enough to remember the 1980 team and that hunger and that, I completely buy into Herb Brooks. And, now that we have dream teams, we seldom get the dream. But I felt like if everybody were truly on the same level, and let's face it, the Russians weren't.
Yeah, correct. They were just way better than everybody.
Well, I mean, when you purposely take from 2 specific teams so that everybody knows how to play with each other.
Yeah, and you purposely take guys that are future Hall of Famers in the NHL.
Exactly. I mean, you've already stacked the deck. If everybody played fair, which of course they don't.
Yeah, they're very unfair.
What was that?
They're very unfair.
Yeah. Well, they have been for years. Let's face it. But I feel like the one thing I did love about this was nobody knew the outcome to a degree. I mean, beyond Russia, but the other teams, nobody knew the outcome. And so for me, that was fun.
Fair enough. I just thought it was hilarious that, they got caught cheating, all this kind of stuff. They technically shouldn't have been there in the first place. And they still get to go, right? I don't know. I still think, how do you come across on the whole, Russia as itself had to wear Olympic jerseys?
That whole thing. Well, what upset me more about that was them singing the anthem at the end because they weren't supposed to do that.
Yeah.
They should have been penalized for that. It had been discussed earlier at a press conference. What are you going to do about the fans who bring the Russian flag? And it was stated that there's nothing we can do about the fans, and that's fine. But the players know the rules. The players know what the deal is. And, yeah, so.
So where would you come across on, or not come across, but where would you stand on the whole issue of Russia even being allowed to be in the Olympics when it's not like a couple of them got caught cheating. It was a ton of them got caught cheating.
That's a tough one because I feel bad for any player who plays the game straight, who doesn't cheat, and to have been, working really hard towards that, and then to be out just because your country and your players in a completely different, in a 4 years ago kind of situation cheated.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I can see where it's not fair to those athletes who don't cheat. But they clearly didn't get the message because, they had at least 2 who tested positive. Yeah. So
it's mind-boggling to me. It's almost like the whole Marchand thing. Like, we all love him. We love him on our team, but he just does things sometimes. You're just like, seriously?
Yeah. And so that was, like I said, the thing that upset me most was them singing the anthem because no other Russian, player did anything like that. They chose to do that, and it was clear that they had decided they were going to do that ahead of time. And that was, that should have been dealt with.
Now, say you don't go to the Olympics, because I kid you not, I didn't even watch the gold medal game.
Yeah.
And say you're not there. Do you watch the gold medal game? Do you even care?
Ooh, I'm a hockey addict, so.
Same.
I watched it, but I'll be honest, because I wasn't physically at that one, because of the way they do things. The medal games for the men's hockey are what they call high interest tickets, and since nobody from my country was in it, I didn't even attempt it. But I did watch it. But I watched it not for Russia. I watched it for Germany.
Okay. And who were you wanting to watch on Germany?
Just the fact that Germany did that they were able to get to the gold medal game.
Oh, yeah, it was unbelievable.
But let's face it, Marco Sturm was there.
Yeah, kudos to him.
Seidenberg's brother was there. So, there's a few people who were there that the Bruins fans could recognize.
Yeah. And do you think Sturm might get a job out of this?
It's possible. It's possible. He did a great job. He really, really did. And, to be able to take the Germans that far was astounding.
Yeah. Rhonda, going back to Ryan Donato, did you notice, I know all the Americans, they're a group and they stay tight when they're in another country like South Korea. But did you notice at all that possibly like Brian Giunta and Donato were close together, even though that they were line mates? And to add on to that question, was that like a catalyst to bring Donato in along with a player like Giunta and a veteran?
I believe that Donato, because he's just a smart kid and he seeks out hockey IQ, that he made a point of getting to know, Giunta. I mean, they, like any team, they gelled quickly, but the line mates, especially for that line, were amazing. And they were very tight, both on and off the ice. I don't think that, Don Sweeney was back here saying, oh, those 2 guys are kind of tight. We should bring them in. I think that Giunta probably offered up something that Sweeney thought was valuable. And then it just worked out great that when they signed Ryan, that they already had that connection. But if you notice, I mean, he spent, all of 3 seconds on a line with Giunta.
Oh, really?
I mean, as far as here in Boston.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, that was the line, and they did, like I said, they did some good stuff. as a line there. I just, I look at it more from a standpoint of Granato, who couldn't say enough nice things about Donato. And saying that 3 times fast. He pointed out that Donato gets it, that Donato understands what it means to be a professional. And it was really clear watching him play. And like I said, when they lost, somebody, during the media scrum said, well, but you got 5 goals. You got more than your dad, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, in the end, nobody cares about that. It's just who got the gold medal.
Right.
And he said, he was really like gut-wrenchingly honest with us when he said, I would give up every goal I got last year to have won this game. That's how much he cared. And I think that's the kind of buy-in that you want on any team. So for him to have that kind of passion, in addition to having the understanding about what it means to be a pro, I wasn't really surprised when they signed him when Harvard, lost in the playoffs.
Right.
But I also know that, schooling is very important to him. So I also wasn't surprised when that was part of the deal. So
you spoke about Tony Granato, and he's a fantastic coach at the University of Wisconsin. And he also had the pleasure of having 2 prospects in Cameron Hughes for 4, I think 3 seasons, and Trent Frederick for the last 2 seasons. And he spoke very highly of those guys too. So just the way Granato coaches and sets the tone behind the bench is it's good on him. And it's also a good thing for a player like Donato to get as a voice at an Olympic level and move on to your professional year. And I think it's done really good. So, I mean, there's a lot of people, especially his father, longtime Bruin, grew up in the area. So it just made sense,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's your prospect. You've been watching him for a few years. You'd be a fool not to sign him.
Right.
When he's, after his school is out, that would have been the big mistake.
Segue right into signing. Zdeno Chara signed a 1-year extension worth $5 million. I got to be honest with you, and I'm not going to lie. I was not happy about the thought of bringing him back at the beginning of the season because he was an aging veteran, and I understand his role as an inspirational leader. But after seeing him progress over the year and what he's done with Charlie McAvoy and even Brandon Carlo last season, I was kind of on board with this now, and I'm very happy that it was done in a 1-year term. Your thoughts?
Oh, I was actually thrilled that they brought him back. He is... What he brings to the team, both on and off the ice, is huge. It's sometimes hard, I think, to get a read on him when you're interviewing him. And I don't know if it's just he's got not too high, not too low. We're just going to stay in the middle. So sometimes it's hard to tell if he's really, truly thrilled. But when he was talking about this at the beginning of the year and hoping that this could get done, you could see that he truly, truly wanted this and that he felt that he still had something to give. I don't think he would ever be one of those players who would hurt a team by staying on if he couldn't offer something. I know there's plenty of Chara haters out there, but he is, yes, he's a very big man, but once he gets going, his stride far outreaches many. And he teaches some of the other kids like Brandon Carlo, who's a big guy, how to do that. And just how to play in this big league. So I was kind of thrilled that they signed him. I know everybody wants Bergeron to be the captain, but maybe Bergeron doesn't want to be the captain. Maybe Bergeron's quite happy just having an A on his shirt. Some people don't do well with that added pressure, and he is such a strong role model regardless that I don't know that he needs a C on his shirt.
And as I've said before, and you can agree or I see your opinion, regardless whether he wears the A or the C, he's still a leader on the team. Like, I played hockey my whole life. Besides, all he's really getting to do is talk to the refs. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, there's a leadership group. Char is wearing the C, and Bergeron, to me, seems like the guy who has the utmost respect and would never want to take the captaincy away from the guy.
Oh, absolutely. He is in many ways, he's a very quiet man, Bergeron. But and I think because he has that quietness about him, when he does speak, everybody in the room listens. And when they see the things that he does, I mean, can you see any other player going to the extent of, what Bergeron did with the punctured lung and everything? I mean, that's ridiculous. And then he stays to talk to the media afterwards. Like, the guy is like, you want to slap him upside the head and say, dude, what are you thinking? Get to the hospital. He just has a moral compass about him that is something that I think the young players gravitate to. And I think is one of the best things that we have in that room.
Yeah, definitely. He's a warrior. And the way he seamlessly came back after a 13-game absence, and he scores a goal and then gets a goal the next night or the next game, it just proves that how much of a warrior he is and how much he cares. And you really don't need that letter on your chest to be a player like that and contribute. So,
yeah, he's very cerebral. I don't know. You guys probably have heard this story. I don't know if all the fans have, but when he was first getting into hockey as a little tiny guy, his parents drove him to the rink, and he sat in the goal net for like the first 3 games and did nothing. He just sat there and watched. And his parents thought maybe he hated the sport. And so, like, on the game, they're like, well, if you don't have to play this. We can find something else. And he's like, no, I like it. And he's that type of cerebral player who watches and who takes things in. So even though he was up, with the broken foot and he was up on the 9th floor, he was taking things in that he knew he could apply when he got back down.
Right.
When I tried to go meet you, Rhonda, and I walked by him by an accident, I was like, that's Bergeron. That's Bergeron. I don't even know what to do. I'm just like standing there. I'm like, okay, don't stare at the man. Don't stare at the man. McAvoy's beside him. I'm like, I don't even care. That's Bergeron. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I was so starstruck. And I'm very rarely, I'm just like staring at him. I'm like, oh God.
I have to say, I've been up there now on that floor for a few years, and I've seen a lot of players come up with, various degrees of injury. He has been the hardest one to watch on crutches, only because Bergeron isn't ever hurt. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's just always in the game. So it was like such a bizarre situation to see him going by on crutches. I'm like, no, this is so wrong.
Funny stat, and I'm not sure how everybody gets into the whole numbers thing. I don't particularly get into it, but I'm a reader and I'm a follower of people that actually put the time in to put these numbers together. But the top line of Bergeron, Pasternak, and Marchand, and by the way, Marchand, second star of the month of March with 10 goals, 16 assists, and 26 points in 15 games, is just awesome for him. And blackandgoldhockey.com writer Max Manville just wrote an article. You should definitely check that out. But the stat that I was looking at is if that top line can reach 25 minutes per game, especially with the playoffs coming up, that is the hardest line to beat in hockey right now. And it's just so good to see the chemistry that over the years that a person like Bergeron and Marchand have gained. And now you're adding a young player like Pasternak and his talent, and you're setting up for a long time of having these 3 players at their best and at a league best. And is there anything that could break these guys down?
I don't see anything happening. There's such a strong producing line. The management would be ridiculous to break that up. They've locked up Pasternak. Bergey's locked up for I don't know how many more years. And I think they all have long-term contracts.
I think they're 2021.
Yeah.
Easily, yeah, with Pasternak a little longer than that because they just signed his. But, as long as they continue to do what they're doing, why would you change that? That would be ridiculous.
Yeah, the only time they miss is either one of them is suspended or the other one's injured.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they could just, dial Marshy back just a tad, it would be, and I almost feel like he, in some ways, he reminds me of a quote that Sean Thornton once said that when his wires touch, that, he doesn't remember what happened, just his wires touched.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like that's a Marshy. His wires touch and he just blacks out and does old Marshy stuff.
You think he'll ever learn?
I think having interviewed him now over the years and been in the locker room with him, the maturity that he has gained is truly impressive. I know that a lot of people don't see it out on the ice. And I think they almost look for old Marshy. Like they want him to be that.
Especially the fans of the other team.
Both. Like the fans want him to be the rat because he stirs up the other team, and the other team want him to be that rat because they want to be able to point to him and say, this is a goon. We should never have him out here, blah, 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 blah. But he has matured immensely. And I think that part of it is a muscle memory thing where I'm almost convinced his wires touch and he doesn't realize he did it until afterwards. And that, he is trying to keep this stuff out of his game. It just happens still sometimes. I mean, let's look at how long he can go now. Whereas before, his issues were, happening much more frequently. But he's also now got that reputation, so he's going to get looked at harder than somebody who's never done that. Okay, Bacchus excluded. I don't know what that was about. But in general, he's going to get that call, even if it wasn't a true call.
Yeah, he's going to never get the benefit of the doubt. I love this team, but people need to realize he will never get the benefit of the doubt. Now, do you think that he would be in the Hart conversation if it wasn't for his suspension this year?
Absolutely. The skill he has is practically off the chart. Mm-hmm. I mean, let's look at what he is able to accomplish almost on a nightly basis.
He's an elite hockey player, that's for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And if he didn't do these things, and if he didn't have the reputation he has, absolutely he would be in the Hart conversation.
Rhonda, Brendan Carlo's injury, we talked about this earlier. It was pretty gruesome to watch, and I hate injuries like that, period. But what we talked about earlier was there's a lot of people expecting him to be back in the mid-month of May or the beginning of May. If you were a GM or a coach, what would you do in a situation like this? Would you take advantage of the off-season? And, I mean, even though the Bruins are probably going to be in it for a long run, would you rush him back to get in the lineup that he's been a part of the success of this year?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Because I say Brandon, let's just wrap it up. I mean, that's a broken fibula. That's a pretty tough one to come back from. Let's get you ready for next season.
I mean, a lot for me would determine his mental aspect, because any injury of the body can be healed. It's the mind healing that can be the harder.
That's a good point.
I mean, everybody talked about McQuaid coming back and blocking a shot right after he'd broken, his leg. And it's sort of like, for him, his mind, that's how he works. I would need to know that Brandon could jump right back in at his best mentally.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I would sit him.
Yeah, and also, like, wouldn't I would assume Cassidy would maybe factor in if the team's playing real well, like, and they're not giving up a lot of chances, and I'm not saying walking through teams, but they're in the the third round here of the playoffs and they're playing well. Do you want to even mess with the chemistry?
Well, yeah, that's truly another thing to keep in mind because the chemistry in the playoffs is such a different thing. You don't want to mess with that.
No, it's huge. And as we were saying to Mark and I were talking before you came on, if McQuaid can play the way he did against Ottawa, it shouldn't even be a problem.
Right. I mean, and you almost, I know a lot of people feel like McQuaid shouldn't be on the team, but he brings certain things to the team, not on the score sheet, but just on the I've got your back. And the players feel safer when he's there. I know that Bruce Cassidy loves McQuaid. He's said it numerous times that he loves McQuaid and his style and what he brings to the team. So I think that in this situation, he's probably going to be glad that he doesn't have to make that choice,
Speaking of choice, man, you're really good at the segue stuff, Rhonda.
Please say you're going to talk about the second line.
No.
Oh, that was a choice.
I was actually good. I actually wanted to touch on the seventh player award. I wanted to get her thoughts on that.
Fair enough.
McAvoy, an exceptional talent. One of the rising stars of the NHL in just his first year. But me personally, I hate this award. I know it's a fan award and it's a popularity contest. But in my opinion, I would have chosen like a player like Hudobin, Nash, Riley, and Jake DeBrusk over Charlie. And I know it might seem wrong to many, but I don't know. I just kind of I feel when you give it to the fans, it's just, let's give it to the next big star that's going to be productive in the future, but never really thinking about the contributions that happened this season. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh, sure. And it's sometimes not even that they're the next big star. It's sometimes they're just the cutest.
It's true.
Come on. It has happened in the past. I feel like for the players themselves, it's a nice honor, but that's not why they do it. They could care less if they're up there taking that. And I know that there's going to be fans who hate me for saying that. But I feel that, McAvoy is a viable choice. He's been good since they, put him on the ice. I happen to pay closer attention, like you guys do, to some of the non-scorers for what they do. But your average fan, it's all about, the score sheet, the flashy play, the whatever. Mm-hmm. And so that automatically is going to eliminate some of the players like DeBrusk. Dobie has been amazing this season. He's truly gotten his groove back. And there are days, there are games where it's almost like you're glad to see that he's in net, whereas last year that was not the case.
Right.
So he has improved immensely. But I'm trying to think of the last goaltender who even got the seventh player award.
I think it was Chikarask, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Tim Thomas.
I think it was
Thomas won it a couple times.
Yeah, I think it might have been Timmy Thomas. I bet, it was Timmy Thomas, and let's face it, without him, they wouldn't have done what they did in 2011. So, but for most, it's about the goals. It's why you have the Chara haters, because he doesn't score goals. Well, that's not necessarily his job.
Right.
Job is to do other things.
Shut down.
Yeah, shut down things and be the great defensive player that he is. And so that's the part that kind of frustrates me about fans. I'm glad that they're passionate about the sport, but so many of them, it's all about the goals and the fact you play.
Rhonda, here's something that I mentioned a couple episodes ago, and it was mind-blowing, actually, but Patrice Bergeron has never won the award. And I know it's kind of catered to the new shiny toy that Bruins fans have. You know, they want to get like the McAvoys, the Hamiltons, the Pasternaks. Yes, and I understand that, but at no point in Patrice Bergeron's career has anybody ever given him a thought. And I know he'll be a humble kind of player and be like, you know, it is catered to. I mean, he would probably say it's more deserving of somebody else, but it just blows my mind that fans have not voted him as a Seventh Player Award winner.
You know, I mean, Patrice Bergeron hates it when the spotlight's on him. Yeah, he's all about the team. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I've ever interviewed him about any kind of award where he didn't say I wouldn't be here without the team. He's team first.
He's just awesome.
And it's amazing. It really is.
And that's why he's going to have his number hung on at TD Garden and probably a first ballot award. I mean, Hall of Famer.
Oh, no, he's definitely first ballot Hall of Famer.
You know, if he's not, there's a problem.
Yeah. Lanny McDonald up in Toronto is probably having a little too many of the Molsons up there if he doesn't.
You got to remember, the Hockey Hall of Fame is not just what he did in the NHL.
Right, it's on and off the ice.
Yeah, well, no, it's also the Olympics, international play. So I believe himself, Corey Perry, and Scott Niedermayer are the only ones to win everything.
I believe of the current crop, yeah.
Yeah, like they've won it all.
And, you know, if they keep this up, that group will never happen again because, you know, if the NHL continues to stay out of the Olympics. But, and there was some talk in Pyeongchang that might be an issue come Beijing. So.
Well, yeah, I know we got off the Olympics, but just ask that one question we both forgot to ask. Do you think the NHL will be in the Olympics because of the market now actually will be something that they can make money off of? Because it's the only reason they didn't go to Korea. We all know it's about the money.
And, you know, it's a tough one because what I was hearing, it didn't sound good. But we'll see I think it's September of 19, that a decision has to be made. That there is something part of the CBA that affects the 2020. And it might even be 2018. I can't remember. I just know it's September. And it's part of the CBA. So, you know, obviously, you know, they've been making a push in China with sending teams over, etc. I take exception to them saying they want to expand the sport in Asia. If all you're going to is China, that doesn't quite encompass Asia, but all right. But they do seem to want to grow the sport there, and they have a lot of investors from there, so they probably will do it. But from what I was hearing, it was not sounding good.
Yeah, a couple of months ago, way before the Olympics even happened, there was a negotiation tactic that they were trying to do. Is like, well, if the players' union agrees to go to the Olympics, then we'll up our next CBA. I think it was 3 more years, which would have worked out for China. You know what I mean? And that Olympic appearance, but and apparently things didn't work out. And now you're saying that they have like a September 19th deadline date when they have to agree.
Yeah, and and like I said, I could be off on the year. That was towards the end of my 2 weeks there, and I'd been on a lot of buses, so I was a little tired.
Yeah, you've been quite the world traveler this year.
Yeah, you just go to Vegas for the weekend. No big deal.
In my defense, I had that planned since the beginning of the season.
Nice.
Because I wanted to see a team in its inaugural season.
And that's exactly what I wanted to talk about to end the show. Actually,
Can we one more? I just want
go
one more
ahead.
question.
Go ahead. I'll
one more, just because of how good we talked about Jake DeBrusk. Rick Nash comes back. What happens?
Ooh,
It's a toughie.
it's a toughie. I mean, I like DeBrusk. I like his style. I feel that he deserves a shot. But I mean, you did trade for Rick Nash, so.
No. Is it DeBrusk or is it Donato that plays on the third line?
I don't think you put Donato on the third line. No.
Yeah, that's tough to break up that second line right now.
And correct me, they've pretty much said that Nash is going to be back now.
So, I don't see you putting. Well, let me think.
Do you think Cassie would ask Krejci? Ask his opinion? Because, he's always complained about his line mates.
Well, Krejci has a very specific style of play, and he likes to call the shots. That's why he and Backes don't always get along on the ice. And not like fist fights, but they see the plays differently, and Krejci likes to control the play. Whereas, and so does Backes. So when Backes has whoever listening to him, that turns into a really good line. So, it's all in who is listening to Krejci, I think.
So your trip out of Vegas.
Yes.
So you got the first experience of an expansion team and how it operates and to see how the fans react. Was the place full? Was it full of energy? Was it everything that Vegas brings to the knighthood and so on?
That and more. It's T-Mobile Arena, but inside it's the Fortress. They have a very elaborate opening montage that includes their night, like basically fighting somebody, somebody who's got a flag from the other team. It's quite the entertainment.
Nice. Was it as entertaining as the cable guy at Medieval Manor? Do you remember that movie?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
Was it that entertaining?
I don't even know what you guys are talking about. Wow.
Oh, it's the movie with Jim Carrey, the cable guy.
The cable guy.
Okay. Yeah, the black comedy. The dark comedy.
No, that's not it.
No, it's not a dark comedy.
Is.
No, that was
cable guys.
This guy was white. Jim Carrey's white.
No, it's not what I mean. Dark comedy means it's like that's why I changed it from black comedy to dark comedy.
Oh,
it's
okay.
Not that he's white. Not nothing to do with race. It has everything to do with
I thought you were talking about
comedy.
the
I don't see what he was talking
I'm on it. Yeah, forget it.
Martin Lawrence.
It was him being Gary. Anyways.
It was very like from the moment you get in there, it is typical Vegas entertainment. It's huge. I think I tweeted at one point that the bass in there was so heavy that literally my camera was vibrating off my desk space.
Wow.
Yeah. So when I go back to TD Garden, I will never ever again complain about how loud the music is. But it was, it's their equivalents to Michaela, the girl who goes around the audience during the breaks. Even they are like in your face, but in a good way, if you know what I mean. Like they're just larger than life and bring an energy that you can't help but just absorb. And in fact, I can say larger than life because when I saw one of the guys later on, he was shorter than me.
Okay.
And yeah, I never would have known that.
Oh, wow.
Nothing wrong with being vertically challenged.
I don't have a problem with people being vertically challenged, but he was so larger than life that's why I think I noticed it so much, because he had been so big with how he interacted with everybody that I was surprised. But it's amazing. I mean, there were some seats that weren't filled, but it was mostly full. It was huge. They have, Now, it is Vegas, so there's a lot of things you can do in Vegas that you can't do other places. So like outside before everybody goes in, they could be buying beers. There's guys out there with their little trolleys selling their beers.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll enjoy that.
Yeah, I was going to say, you should have been out there. And so the way it's arranged, it's in this so T-Mobile Arena, and then there's a bunch of restaurants before it that you walk through this thing. So you have to walk by all of them, and they were full of fans before and after. It's not like in Boston where, pretty much everybody disappears. And partly that's because it was this open air thing, and it's March, but it's not Boston March. So, it was really interesting.
Yes, that was cold.
Yes. Well, not as cold as Korea, but
I'm Canadian.
It was cold. But when I posted a picture of me, having with my face in that big giant goalie thing. Those are things that you just don't see in other areas.
Yeah.
At other teams and in and around their things. They cater to the fan. The idea is for the fans to truly buy into everything. In fact, they have done something with the playoffs now that they're in the playoffs that nobody thought they'd be in, that they have a kind of like an oath to their season ticket holders that they will get a discount on their playoff tickets if they agree not to put them on StubHub.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So it's like they're thinking of all of these things, and they're truly interacting with their fans in ways that I haven't seen other teams do.
Very smart idea.
And one more question just to end this on expansion. Now, Las Vegas isn't a traditional hockey market. I mean, they did have the Wranglers there in the International League, and I believe it was the East Coast Hockey League at one time.
They also had the Vipers way back in the day, didn't they?
Yeah, but they didn't survive.
Right.
No, I know, but Curtis Joseph was their goalie at one point.
Oh, yeah. But, after the Wranglers closed up, and then we were hearing that, NHL's coming in, I'm like, well, the Wranglers couldn't even do it.
Right.
So I'll be honest, I was a tad concerned about it.
My question, though, is with Seattle coming in and Washington State and Oregon area, they do have a hockey market with the WHL out there and some mad, rabid, passionate fans. Mm-hmm. Do you see that expansion being very similar to a non-traditional hockey market like Las Vegas?
No, because they are more traditional with their WHL. Vegas, because it's Vegas, can do things that nobody else can do. Because they are Vegas.
Yep.
And I feel like in this situation that I would see Seattle to be a more traditional expansion.
Mm-hmm.
Which is not, it's not to say it's bad. They'll have their fan base. But let's face it, when everybody said it was coming to Vegas, they were like, well, Arizona can't even fill their arena, etc.
Exactly.
But
Florida Panthers is cheaper to buy it off the scalpers than the box office.
Exactly. And so it's, the reason that Boston plays the Panthers is so that the arena will get filled occasionally with Bruins fans. But Seattle being a hockey area anyway, they will have the fan base, but it will not be the expansion team to the level that Las Vegas has managed to be.
That makes sense. And I'm sure you'll be out there, so we'll have to have you on because you've been, I'm sure you got your tickets booked already, even though the season for the Totems, I believe, is not going to happen for another year or two, possibly. So, have you booked it yet?
I have not booked it yet.
I'm very surprised.
Give me time.
Yeah, exactly. Rhonda, I just want to say thank you so much for having you on today, and also in the past. You've been a tremendous guest. Please, people, listeners, Bruins fans, if you see somebody in the locker room interviewing a player with the pink microphone, that is our friend, the lovely Rhonda McClure, and you can find her at Hockey Maven 1917 on Twitter. And she's the editor-in-chief and owner of thepinkpuck.com. Rhonda, it's been a pleasure. I hope to see you soon. We definitely have to stop at the rail stop after development camp and have a quick drink.
Definitely.
Awesome.
Thanks again for having me on, guys. I always love it.
Thanks for coming, Rhonda.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody, for listening this week. We appreciate it. Please check out our merch on blackandgoldhockey.com. Also want to give a shout out to Grace, that is Thomas Nystrom's fiance, who did our new intro. So thank you, Grace, for that awesome intro and the updated information that we have. And thank you, Thomas, for putting it all together. It's a class act to you, sir. He's a solid teammate. So you can find us anywhere on any of the main podcast catchers, if you will. We are everywhere. iHeartRadio, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, blah, blah, blah. So that's it for this week. And next week is going to be our playoff preview. So we will definitely know the matchups and so on, and we'll break everything down for you. So enjoy the week. Happy Easter. Also, one more shout out. My dad's having surgery tomorrow, so my thoughts and prayers are with him. Hopefully everything's going to be okay. I know it is going to be, but he's always in my heart. So love you, Dad. Take care, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's show. You can follow the guys on Twitter at blackandgold277, at Court Lalonde, and at Rob40Bruins. You can also send us an email to the show's account at blackandgoldhockeyblog@gmail.com.